All right, it's time to review part one, the introduction. Okay, here's some questions for you. The first one is, why is the Constitution so important? Okay, give you some time to answer that. Why is the Constitution important? Now here is the magical 100% perfect answer. If you don't match this word for word, then you're wrong. That's a joke. Of course, the general idea of this answer is what we want you to have. Okay? The idea is the Constitution makes the rules that protect we the people from the government or any other person from taking our rights from us. Okay? Got that? Excellent. Okay, next question. What does Article 1 address? Article 1, legislative, right? Article 1 is the legislative branch. The legislative branch is known as Congress. Okay? Next question, what does Article 2 address? Remember that? We have our two capital I's, and we cross them, and they become an X, right? Executive. That's the answer. Then you are right. Executive branch. And the chief officer of the executive branch is the president. Okay, good. Next question, Article 3, what does it address? Remember this one? We have three triple I's, right? What do you do to them? Two happy smiley faces. Okay, yeah. First two letters of the word judicial. Okay, the judicial branch. And at the U.S. level, the judicial branch is the Supreme Court. Great. Pretty easy, right? Painless? Now, for the next question, what does Article 4 address? For what? For corners, for states. Yep, Article 4 is the states. Next, Article 5. Remember, we got our capital V. What do we do to this thing? Turn it over, it becomes an A. Okay, Article 5 is amendments, the amendment process. Remember, amendment means to change. It's the rules to change the Constitution. Article 6, your VI. Okay, turn that over, it becomes an IA. I am supreme, right? Supremacy. Good. And number 7, Article 7, what does it address? This is the one that, who knows, but it's a long word, and oh yeah, now I remember it's ratification, right? Flip those things over. It kind of looks like an ATI. Ratification, which is the voting to adopt the Constitution. Okay? 5 clauses everyone should know. Remember those? I can give you a little hint here, but if you remember them offhand, let me give you a second. There's a little help. The acronym STING, remember? So S stands for Supremacy Clause. The T stands for Treaty Law Clause. The I stands for Interstate Commerce Clause. The N, Necessary and Proper Clause, and the G, General Welfare Clause. Right? Now, where are those references? Quickly review those. What's the constitutional reference for the Supremacy Clause? What's the Supremacy Clause? What do we remember here? What's our figure here? Oh yeah, the burrito, right? That is how tall? 6'2". So Article 6, Clause 2. Good. Okay, next one is the T, right? Treaty Law Clause. What do you remember about this? We have a tree and a T. Tree is how tall? 6 foot. And T is how tall? 2 inches. So Article 6, Clause 2. Good. Next one is the Interstate Commerce Clause. How do we remember this one? Do you remember? ICC equals 183. Good. Okay. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 3 is the Interstate Commerce Clause. Okay. The fourth one, Necessary and Proper Clause. Remember this little equation? 1 and 8 are necessary to make what? 18. Okay, so Article 1, Section 8, Clause 18. And lastly, the General Welfare Clause, right? The G, General Welfare Clause. We have a general who's in the prestigious 181st Division. 181, why? Because it's Article 1, Section 8, Clause 1. Okay? Good, you did it. Way to go. Okay, guys, remind me, where is the Supremacy Clause located? Just a quick review. Supremacy. Oh, yeah, Supreme Burrito, remember? Okay. Article 6, Clause 2. Good. Okay. Let's get going here. We're going to use an analogy. Okay, this is an analogy we use for next 5 presentations. Okay, so let's identify the characters. Okay, the car owner is the people in the states, and the mechanic shop is the federal government. Okay. Now, just like any car owner, every once in a while you have to take your car into the mechanic shop to get it worked on. So this car owner takes his car in, gets it worked on. A couple days later, comes back, and guess what? The mechanic shop says, "Hey, buddy, you owe me $3,000." And the car owner is like, "What are you talking about? I'm only going to pay you $1,000. I'm not going to pay you $3,000." And the mechanic shop said, "Well, it's my shop." Yeah, it's true. And the car owner says, "Well, it's my car." They're both right, aren't they? Okay. So we have this little argument going on, and the mechanic shop says, "Well, your car wouldn't even run right now if I hadn't fixed it. to what the car owner responds, well, you wouldn't even have the car to work on if I hadn't given it to you to work on it, right? And let you do that. Okay, so who's in charge? Some people say, well, the mechanic shop is, because they're big, right? They service a lot of car owners. They're the ones who are in charge because they're bigger than the single car owner, okay? And others would say, well, no, it's the car owner because it's his car after all, and the mechanic shop wouldn't have any success if he didn't keep his customers happy. Okay? See, there's different ways of looking at it, and they're both right, aren't they? What should be done? Well, how about the car owner says, well, I'm not going to pay you. I'm just not going to pay you for the service. What if the mechanic shop replied, well, I'm just not going to give you your car. Okay, so we have a dilemma here. We have a pretty good battle going on. Now, the real question is, how much should we be paid, right? Mechanic shop says $3,000, the man says $1,000. How about we just do the middle? How about we just split the difference and go with $2,000? Would that make everyone happy? Would the mechanic shop be happy? Well, no, they just lost $1,000 of profit, right? Would that make the car owner happy? Well, no, I'm paying twice as much as I was expecting to pay. So what do you do? How do you resolve this issue? Well, we're asking the wrong questions. If you want the right answer, you have to ask the right question. It's not who's in charge. It's not who's bigger, who's more threatening, who's going to do this, who's going to do that. What matters is the contract, right? The contract that they'd agreed on together. Pretty clearly, they've entered in this contract. There's 15 XYZ parts for a grand total of $2,250, okay? And there's 5 hours of labor that have been estimated at $50 an hour. That's another $250. So the grand total price is $2,600 some odd dollars. The contract between the car owner and the mechanic shop was made where what was to be done and for what price was agreed upon before any work was done. That's the beauty of the contract, okay? Remember our analogy here. We have the car owner, who's the people in the States, and the mechanic shop, who is the federal government. There's a contract between those two entities, right? And that contract in America is called the Constitution. Okay, that's our contract. That's where it's written all the rules of what's going to happen, how it's going to happen. Okay, so there's an analogy to kind of pull that together. What's important, what's supreme, the supreme law of our land is our Constitution. It's not the people in the States are always in charge, nor is it the federal government is always in charge. Okay? So pull out your constitutions. Let's pull out your constitutions and look at the Supremacy Clause. It's on page 15 of the NCCS version of the copy of the Constitution. Okay? We're going to go page 15, and we're going to skip over to page 16 as well. It's the bottom of 15, the top of 16. Pull out your highlighters. Get ready to highlight the actual words from the Constitution. Okay? Okay, so you're on page 15, right? Bottom of page 15. Remember, where's the Supremacy Clause? Article 6, Clause 2. Good. Okay, so let's read that together. Read with me. This Constitution and the laws of the United States shall be made in pursuance thereof. And we're going to skip the next 2 lines and go to shall be the supreme law of the land. Okay, so that part's highlighted. See on this slide here to show you. That's the part you are going to highlight in your Constitution. Okay, that's the Supremacy Clause. If you want to, you can write Supremacy Clause next to it so you know. Back to the Supremacy Clause itself. Remember, we've taken the words from the Constitution and stuck them on the slides so we can look at it. First of all, let's talk about the name of the Supremacy Clause. Why is it named Supremacy? Because it comes from the word supreme, right? The word supreme is right there in the words itself. Okay, so point that out first of all, the Supremacy Clause. So what does supreme or supremacy mean? Let's define it for a second because we need to know what the terms mean, right? Supremacy means the highest level of power or authority. Okay? Supreme, you're on top, you're in charge, you're the highest level of power or authority. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the definition of the word supreme and insert the word highest. Okay? Here we go. Let's read it again. This Constitution, the laws of the United States that shall be made in pursuance thereof, shall be the highest law of the land. Okay? Just to make sure we're on the same page. Now, Supremacy Clause makes clear that there are 2 things that are supreme, that are the highest. The first one is this Constitution shall be the highest law of the land. The second one is the laws of the United States shall be the highest law of the land. Okay, those are the 2 things that are the supreme law of the land. But the second one there, the laws of the United States, it has some words after it, and the words are which shall be made in pursuance thereof. Okay, that's what's called a condition. Okay, and a condition, let's talk about that word a little. Let's define condition. Condition means a requirement that must be met first. Okay, you first have to meet the requirement. Another way of looking at it is you have to jump through a hoop. If you want to drive a car, you have to have a driver's license. You have to jump through the hoop of getting a license, or jump through the condition of getting a license, okay? So that's what a condition is. So when we look at this, the condition for the laws of the United States is that they shall be made in pursuance thereof. Okay, let's explore that a little bit more. Let's take that hoop, that blue hoop we have, and let's turn it on its head here, make it tall. Okay, so if you have a skinny little wimpy kid and he wants to become a buff bodybuilder, what's the condition he has to go through in order to get those big muscles? Okay, what does he have to do? You're right, he has to lift weights, right? And he has to do that. He has to comply with that condition if he wants to be buff. What if he says, I'm going to do that and you're all sweaty and tired and that's going to take like years to get that buff. I'm just a skinny, scrawny guy. I'm just going to become buff without lifting weights. Can he do that? No. If he doesn't comply with the condition, he can't get the result he wants, right? It's a requirement that must be met first. Okay? That doesn't work, does it? He must go through the condition of lifting weights. It's the same thing with the Constitution. The words here in the Supremacy Clause. It says the laws of the United States, which, let's be clear about that, the laws of the United States, another way of saying that is federal laws. Okay, so federal laws, if they want to become the supreme law of the land, they have to jump through a condition as well. Okay, just like the skinny boy to be buff has to lift weights, the federal laws have to do something and go through a condition in order to become the supreme law of the land. Okay, and that condition are the words right there in the Constitution, which shall be made in pursuance thereof. There's a big word in there, pursuance. What's pursuance? It's a root word. The root word of it is pursue. What's it mean to pursue? What's that mean? If you're pursuing someone, what are you doing? Aren't you following after them? You're following them, aren't you? Good. Okay, so the definition of pursue is to follow. So let's do what we did before. Let's take the words here, and let's throw in the word pursuance. Let's throw in its definition. So this Constitution and the laws of the United States that shall be made to follow thereof shall be the supreme law of the land. To follow thereof. What in the world does to follow thereof mean? How about we replace the word thereof with it? And let's read it again. The Constitution, this Constitution, and the laws of the United States that shall be made to follow it. To follow it. What's it? Obviously, it's referring to the Constitution, right? So let's put that in there. This Constitution and the laws of the United States that shall be made to follow the Constitution shall be the supreme law of the land. So clearly, the laws of the United States, the federal laws, in order to become the supreme law of the land, what do they have to do? They have to follow the Constitution. That's the condition that's made in order for them to become the supreme law of the land. That's a vitally important truth, okay? Now, what if the federal laws say, I don't want to follow the Constitution. I want to go around the Constitution, but I still want to become the supreme law of the land. Can they do that? No, not any more than a skinny boy can become a buff bodybuilder if he doesn't lift weights. They have to be made. The condition they have to comply with is they have to be made in pursuance of the Constitution, to follow the Constitution. Okay, that makes sense? Hopefully that helps you understand that. Okay, so let's pursue that idea of pursue, okay? Let's look at what it means to follow the Constitution. What does that really mean? What it really means is you can find a part in the Constitution, you can put your finger on it. You can say, this is where the Constitution says I can do that. Okay, that's the only way a federal law is supreme, is if it complies with it. You can say, look, here in the Constitution it says this, therefore the federal law complies with it. Okay? So let's give you some examples, some theoretical examples of federal laws and see if they're supreme law of the land. Okay? First one is theoretical federal law 1-3-892. All people living in the United States of America shall live in red houses. Now, does this law follow the Constitution? No, not unless you can show me somewhere in there that says that the federal government gets to tell us what color of houses we live in, right? It doesn't follow the Constitution because there's nowhere in the Constitution that says and gives Congress that power. Now, who has the power to decide what color of house they live in? The people, right? It's reserved to the people. Okay? Make sense? Let's look at another one. Federal law, this is a hypothetical. Federal law 7-9-086. All state highway patrolmen in any state in the United States of America shall only be allowed to ride motorcycles. Does that pursue? Does that follow the Constitution? Can you point to a place in the Constitution that says that the federal government can decide what type of vehicles that state patrolmen drive? No. Okay. Who has that power? Who is that reserved to? The states. They get to decide in their highway patrol what they drive. All right. Hypothetical number 3. Federal law 1-2-345. The United States hereby forms a navy for the defense of our nation. Is that a law that complies with the Constitution, therefore is the supreme law of the land? Well, it happens to be, because you can point to a place in the Constitution where it says they can form a navy. And that place is Article 1, Section 8, Clause 13. Okay? You can turn to it if you want to. It's on page 6, right? Or on page 7 of the Constitution we looked at. Okay? So if there's a law that says the federal government's going to form a navy, they can, because you can point to that spot in the Constitution. All right? Make sense? Good. Now let me make sure this point is crystal clear. The Supremacy Clause, too often people say supremacy means the federal law is supreme over the states or supreme over the people. That's not what the Supremacy Clause says. What the Supremacy Clause says is that the Constitution is supreme. Okay? And the Constitution decides if the federal is in charge or if the states or the people are in charge. That's depending on the contract that they wrote together, that they decided on. Okay? Supremacy, way too many times. Oh, supreme law of the land, that means federal law is supreme law of the land. No, that they have to comply with the condition. We're going to end this part 2 about the Supremacy Clause by memorizing the Supremacy Clause. Think we can do it? I know you can. I've seen this happen over and over in classrooms around the nation, okay? Here we are, Supremacy Clause. Now repeat with me, okay? This is important. Read it with me. This Constitution and the laws of the United States which shall be made in pursuance thereof shall be the supreme law of the land. Are you reading with me? You better be. Okay, here we go. This Constitution and the laws of the United States which shall be made in pursuance thereof shall be the supreme law of the land. Okay? This Constitution and the laws of the United States which shall be made in pursuance thereof shall be the supreme law of the land. Good. You got it. Keep going. This Constitution and the laws of the United States which shall be made in pursuance thereof shall be the supreme law of the land. You still reading with me? You better. Okay, we're going to get this. Next, this Constitution and the laws of the United States which shall be made in pursuance thereof shall be the supreme law of the land. We're almost there. This Constitution and the laws of the United States which shall be made in pursuance thereof shall be the supreme law of the land. Ready? All in blank. This Constitution and the laws of the United States which shall be made in pursuance thereof shall be the supreme law of the land. Got it? I think you do. Test yourself. I think you got it. Push pause. Try it. Okay? It's fun. The idea here is there's nothing more powerful than having the original content. You can talk about stuff and say, well, the Supremacy Clause says this. I think the Supremacy Clause means this. If you actually quote it and you know what it says and you know what it means, there's power in that, okay? Because we've talked about in other presentations, we're a republic. Republic means rule of law. Our law is the Constitution. I don't need a lawyer or some other person to tell me what the Constitution means. I can tell it for myself. That's what it says. I can read it. It was meant to be read by normal, average citizens like you and me so we can understand it and be powerful in our lives. Hey, you're done. Part 2, Supremacy Clause. Now you have the opportunity to take the quiz. The quiz number 2, the Supremacy Clause.